Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on the accidental Texan, about a guy who's an actor who loses his job and ends up stuck in Texas and then kind of discovers a new life for himself. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books, links in the description. Comedy Heart in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 13, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. So, Sandman over here, Thomas Haden Church, I think his name is the Texan, a real Texan. And he's drilling. He's a oil driller dude. And the actor dude comes into town because he just got fired off a movie. Haden Church recruits him. Carrie Moss. Trinity is in it too, as Thomas Haden's love interest. Anyhow, the kid comes into town, and Church basically, Bruce Dern's in it. Can't go wrong with a Bruce Dern flick. How is he still alive all these years, man? He just keeps going and going. Anyhow, Church basically talks the guy into pretending to be some sort of land manager that he needs because he's drilling oil and he's got to hit oil and they're trying to drive him off his land. You know, it's like one of these plots. And if Church can hit oil in 30 days, he'll save his business. And if he doesn't, he's screwed. But he pretends to be like some Harvard educated guy who knows where the oil is, I guess. Some land manager or whatever. But he knows nothing, and then these guys are trying to pressure him off the land. Who's that dude on the left there? I can't tell. But, you know, he's an actor, so he can kind of act like it, but he kind of doesn't know, you know, he doesn't know anything about drilling oil. But then I guess he learns and maybe knows something because he's Harvard educated, and anyhow, he finds a new life in Texas, I guess. So the end of this movie, well, let's see. First act, he's an actor, and he screws up big time. He forgets to turn off his phone during a scene, a very expensive scene. And I know, yeah, they got him squibbed up, as they say, because he's going to be shot in the scene. And they use squibs. And they're very expensive, and you got to, you know, it's going to ruin the shirt, obviously, and you got to wire people up and blah, blah, blah. So sometimes, you know, if you're on a low-budget movie, they only have enough money to do these scenes maybe once, maybe twice. So you don't want to screw it up. But he leaves his phone on, his phone rings, and then the squibs go off and screws up everything. So they fire him from the movie. His car breaks down. He ends up stuck in Texas, in this Texas town. And then second act, he meets Church and Carrie Moss and sort of befriends him. And then he makes him the offer, listen, just pose as this guy and, you know, get me through the week or whatever, and I'll pay you some money or fix your car or whatever. So he agrees. And then, of course, they become friends. And then he, you know, at first he's a fish out of water, but eventually he's sort of like kind of getting into it. And kind of finds himself, I guess. They make some money and maybe decides. So the end of the movie could either be he decides to stay, although it looks like Haden Church has the love interest, not him. Or he gets another movie deal and, you know, it bounces back. But because it's called the Accidental Texan, I think he does stay. I think he decides to say, screw it. I'm making money here. I got friends. What am I going to do? Why go back to acting? Which would be a nice way to end it, I think. A nice way. It's funny because I remember Thomas Haden Church on Wings, and he was always the standout. Whenever they talked about that show, they were like, you know, they always mentioned him. And he was always just, you know, him and like one other actor on that show. They'd always talk about him. and he was the comic relief. But then his career took off, I think, after that. So yeah, so Sandman, it's got a good movie. It's a nice, wholesome movie too. It feels it's kind of movie I think you'd feel good about yourself seeing it. You know, it's not one of these dreary movies. You kind of like, oh, that was nice. That was a nice little story. Everything worked out at the end. That kind of satisfying feeling. There's so many movies they don't have that now. They just seems like dreary. Even the superhero stuff, just dreariness. So I like the tone of it. I don't know Rudy Pankow, but he's the lead, so they're pushing him. Let's see. No, the write up on it, but it's from Roadside. Yeah, I'd see it. Sure, I'd probably see it on streaming, but I was looking for something. This would be a good date movie, right? So you take your date here, you see a nice movie, and it's like a positive experience, and so you feel positive about the date. See, I'm always thinking. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more based takes. If you can find a more based take, I say take it. I will be at the Complete Care for the residents on February 6th, but the next event open to the public will be I Heart Horror on February 10th in Sayreville, New Jersey. Hope to see you there. We'll see you in the next one.